All right. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Al Qualls, host of Guys Talking Sports, and this time I got my full panel here with me. I got my man Earl Ross, and I also got my man Adrian Catwell, better known as Ace. Say what's going on to everybody, people.
Dub V, baby, Sweet 16. What you got?
What's up, big time?
What's going on? I know it's been a while that we all been together like this, so I really appreciate you guys taking the time, and I know it's all on me because I really haven't been setting up everything in the way that I wanted to. But now that things are starting to get this to dwell down, I could honestly say that we could start doing this on a regular basis, and I'll make sure that we'll start doing this more often than like as I said before. But we're gonna get into it right now. I know we're gonna talk about the NFL free agency, and we're just gonna start from there. Any surprises? Anything that you guys saw in the past couple of weeks as far as free agency is concerned that really was an eye opener for you?
Well, we're not going to talk about the Eagles. Our man Chip is on well, let's just say he has he's going about it in a way that most people thought he probably wouldn't go. And I'm curious to see how that's going to work out.
And we've been talking about. I know me and Earl was talking a little bit about it last time we spoke, but I never really got your take on it in that regards. Like, do you really think that this is going to be a make or break year for him?
Well, in that particular offense, and you're talking about an offense where the quarterback has, if it's going to be a running the ball is running the ball. If he's going to pass, it's going to be a quick pass. Get the ball out your hands quick. You don't necessarily need the most athletic quarterback in the world. Is more so than a smart quarterback. You got to be able to get the ball out quickly, be able to get the receivers where they can get the ball out in space and make some things happen. With that being said, interestingly enough, him trading away Shady, I get it from a financial standpoint where he's trying to cut salary. And I'm guessing in that particular offense, he can, in his mind, he's thinking that he could probably take any running back and make them as effective as Shady, as long as he has quick twitch, can hit the holes and, make the correct reads when running the ball. But to also let Jeremy Maclin walk or get, leave for free agency and then picking up Stafford, who isn't the most healthy quarterback in the world. I was one of the conspiracy theorists who believed that he's probably trying to trade up to get Mariota. But now that I think about it more, I really believe that he thinks he can win with Stafford. Not Stafford, I'm sorry. Who did he get? Not Stafford. Stafford's in Detroit. Whatever the quarterback's name for the Rams, who's always hurt. But
Sam Bradford.
Yeah, Bradford. I always get Stafford and Bradford mixed up. But either way, I guess he believes that he can win with them. And he played in an Oklahoma offense, which was, I don't know. I guess it was pro style at the time he was there, but I guess he has some sort of belief that he thinks he can win with them. Question is, can he stay healthy? Another question is, will the O-line be the O-line from 2013 when they were healthy and not so much banged up in 2014? And then can you replace – I guess he's thinking that, Maclin is replaceable. I think they got that kid Matthews, who was a rookie from Vanderbilt last year. I think that's his last name. I think that he's believing could probably be into that number one receiver spot. And then you still got the one kid, Riley Cooper. And I don't know. It's crazy how everything is going with the Eagles. I'm really curious. He could be possibly the smartest coach ever to coach in the NFL, or he could be the dumbest. I don't know. He could be on the line of Belichick. I guess we're only gonna wait and find out.
Yeah, I do agree that he's putting all his eggs in one basket, so to speak, right now. And like you said, time will tell whether or not there's. I really believe that this is a make or break for him. And I guess where he's at is that, well, if I'm going to go all out, I need to go with players that I know can work within my system. And I guess he felt as though that the people that left wasn't the ideal type of person for his system.
Oh, running back, I can see because you don't want to tie up a lot of money in a running back. But when you're talking about a wide receiver, you talk about Macklin. And Macklin hasn't always been the most healthiest wide receiver in the world, but when he was healthy, he was lethal. He got that speed, and he fit with the offense well. So it's kind of baffling to let him walk. So this makes me want to believe that if Chip Kelly can find a receiver who he finds is sure-handed and with speed, possibly could come in there and fit the bill. It was funny. I was on NFL, I guess with Verizon, you get the NFL app, and they were talking about 6 trades that they would love to see in the NFL, and they were talking about Tavon Austin being traded to the Eagles. Now that would be something because he would thrive in that sort of an offense if they could pull off another trade with St. Louis to get Tavon over to Philadelphia. I doubt it would ever happen, but that would be something that's really intriguing.
Yeah, the whole off-season moves with the Eagles has been extremely intriguing. I mean, being in the lovely land of brotherly love, I get to hear all the information coming firsthand. And that week where they went from trading Macklin, trading Shady, and everybody in Philadelphia thought they lost the whole world. Then bringing in DeMarco. Now DeMarco was really puzzling because they only went after DeMarco after Frank Gore decided to change and go to the Colts.
Ooh, I forgot about DeMarco. Yeah.
And you didn't want to pay Shady all the money, but you basically gave DeMarco Murray practically the same amount of money that he got from Buffalo that you didn't want to give Shady to bring in DeMarco. So now you have DeMarco, you have the other guy as the fullback, then you bring in Bradford, and now you have a placeholder with Mark Sanchez as your number 2. I don't think that unless they're going to do some serious trading up with Bradford to somebody up at the top and package another pick or 2, I do think they're probably going to stick with Bradford, but yet go after another quarterback like in the 3rd or 4th round, someone that they can groom up to take that, the position on, because I think to go up to Mariota, it's going to cost you a lot, and you're not even guaranteed that Mariota might be the real deal.
No, I agree with that, and I also agree with the fact that what you're saying. I would not be surprised if they do go a quarterback somewhere in the 3rd or 4th round. It's definitely something that they need to, like you said, they're putting their eggs in basket into an injured quarterback, an injury-prone quarterback, and another and it's their backup quarterback who did have a good year last year, but that was just it. Like he just had a good year because he was into a particular system. You don't know what you're going to get with Sanchez the second time around in the Eagles' offense. So I do not. I mean, they're not going to get Mariota. I really don't believe that they may not get Mariota, but they will look for a quarterback that they could groom with and work for the future.
Well, hold on, but Sanchez was only his 5th season in the league, and believe it or not, Mr. Brunson and I, we like to consider Mark Sanchez as Marcy, and Marcy looked like an NFL QB in that offense. Mind you, he probably had a game or two where he looked kind of suspect, but for the bottom line, he looked real good. And that just goes to show that if you put the quarterback in the right system, any quarterback in the right system could look like they're great. Like Mike Castle coming out of New England, going over to wherever, Kansas City or Minnesota, and he looked like trash. Obviously, in New England with Mike Castle, he was a GOAT. He was nice. You take him out of that system, he's garbage. So I think Mark Sanchez was probably in a great system, and he was able to utilize his skills nicely. And it took a lot of the thought process out of what he needs to do. And believe it or not, and this is just my theory, more and more high school teams and college teams are moving towards this whole spread, one read type of offense. Eventually, either the NFL is going to have to sit there and say, well, you know what? We can't force these kids who's been learning this particular process through the entire 4 years of high school, and then depending on how long they're in college. So we can go from 7 to 8 years in college learning one particular offense, and then think you can draft them in the first round and turn them into pro-style quarterbacks. It's just not going to happen. Eventually, other NFL franchises are going to have to take the same page out of Philadelphia. Philadelphia is kind of revolutionizing the way offense can be played in the NFL. So it's just a matter now if will other owners or other franchises take a page out of Philadelphia's book and start going down to these colleges where these quarterbacks are learning their offenses and trying to take some of those elements and bring them to the NFL. Because believe it or not, people said that the read option and the spread option type of offenses wouldn't last in the NFL. Well, I'm sorry. Chip Kelly showed you that with either Sanchez or either the other quarterback that they had, that they can sit there and run their offense and still put 400 or 500 yards of offense on you on a defense and don't miss a beat. And they're talking about defenses will be able to catch up with that, and they haven't.
Well, they were sure enough catching up with them at the end of the season. He ran his players dead. I mean, the defense was hitting on them at the last 3 or 4 games. They basically gave up the NFC East to the Cowboys.
Is it because of the quarterback running back, or was it because the O-line wasn't healthy?
No, it was because of the defense. The defense couldn't stop anybody by the end of the season.
Oh, okay. Well, you can't. Okay. So the offense was able to produce points. It's just the defense couldn't stop the other team from scoring.
Yep.
And that's what I thought that there was going to be their focal point this offseason would be more focal point on the defense because, like you said, that was definitely the missing link for them to win that division. And when the defense wasn't on his A game, that's when it fell apart. So I was considering, like, when I first thought about it, I said, well, they're just going to have to work on their defense. They're going to improve on that. But seeing all these changes on the offensive side, it makes me wonder.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of people wonder which direction they're going to go. But I think they're going to probably go with the QB in the late draft and probably stock up on defensive linemen in the secondary, which got torched by the end of the season.
Yeah. I think that Chip Kelly believes that his offense, if run effectively, can be ran by just about anybody. And that he's probably willing to spend more money on defense than spending high-priced dollars on offense.
But then, if that was the case, then why did DeMarco Murray sign him?
But did he really sign for real big dollars? I mean, is he making the same amount of money as Shady?
Pretty much. There might be a few $1 million off, but it's almost practically the same contract, well, money-wise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And some people think they might have overpaid for DeMarco.
Yeah, that's what I thought because it was just so, like, if you're, I understand. I'll put it like this, like from the Cowboys' perspective, you know, they just basically said, hey, look, we don't really need DeMarco. We could put any running back behind the O-line and probably produce just a similar, about the similar amount of numbers and be just as effective. So I'm just curious because if Dallas had that mindset, you would have thought that Philadelphia may have said the same thing if they're going all in with a new offense to say, hey, look, we don't really need these high-priced players to come in. We could just use, good enough players to just to carry us through. And like you said, Ace, they may focus on the defensive side come draft time. Hopefully that's something they could do. Otherwise, they really didn't do anything to to help improve their defense from last year.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll find out come August and September when the preseason and first couple games come around and if Philly could pull off that same type of what was it, their first game when they were down like 28-0 and came back, or 21-0 and came back and won like 42-21 or something like that.
Yeah.
See how explosive their offense is. That is retooled, you know.
Yeah. No, but you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, Philadelphia is going to be a wait and see approach right now. I mean, they made the most moves, but I really don't see them doing anything that say they're a better team right now. Have to be. I mean, to be honest, we have to wait and see until what they do on draft night. Really, there hasn't really been a.
But
Is there? Has there? I mean, let me ask you. Let me ask you this: any teams that made a significant impact or a significant on a positive level as far as the off-season moves that you saw? One team.
Jets went out there and spent dollars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we got into Woody Johnson. He opened up his purse strings for the first time in a couple of years. I don't know.
But it's not Woody. It's the general manager. The general manager's finally Idzik. The past 2 years was like real stingy with the monies. They get rid of Idzik, and the new general manager comes in, and this joker is just writing check after check. It just makes you wonder if the mindset of the organization was to really bring down Rex in a way that, you know, to say, okay, Rex, we're gonna give you just enough to be functional. You know, and I'm not, and you can call me a West Virginia homer. You know, I love Geno. It's no denying that. You know, I can't give Geno no excuses after this season if he wins and gets the #1 spot going into this season. Now that he has three legitimate wide receivers, two legitimate tight ends, he got top flight defense now. You got Revis and Cromartie as your quarterbacks. You're going back to Rex in his heyday when he was taking the Jets to the AFC Championship games. If Geno don't perform, then, you know, shame on him. He doesn't deserve to be that at least a starting quarterback. He may still get some burn in the league as a backup, you know. But the Jets finally went out there and did something that they haven't done in years, which was spend money. They actually brought in some quality O-line. They're shoring up the defense. They brought in a #1 wide receiver. Heck, Eric Decker ain't nobody's wide receiver.
Well, he's not #1. He was not #1 receiver. At best, he's the third receiver.
Right. So they finally. So, you know, everybody's talking about Mariota may drop to #6 where the Jets is. I don't see the Jets going with a quarterback in the first round. The Jets, if they were smart, they either go O-line, wide receiver, or possibly, O-line or wide receiver. Because there's no need to sit there and take a running back in the first round. You know, running backs are dime a dozen now. No need to spend that type of money on a running back. They can always shore up the O-line. The defense is looking stout. Go ahead and get some more weapons.
I would think probably there's not one team, but I think really the AFC East as a whole look like they pretty much done a lot in the off season. I mean, Miami would get Donovan McSue, other running back. That's some serious business, and of course the Jets, you know, bringing back, you know, the cornerbacks. Why let them go all them years is beyond me, but, you know, of course the Patriots still doing anything. So the AFC East looks like they're the ones that probably collectively have, you know, done the best thus far in free agency.
Yeah, listening to the videos up here, the first couple of weeks they said the new GM was the better. Everybody was saying that the new GM has been the best GM in the past, I guess 3 seasons when Idzik was a part. They said that he's done more than enough to make the Jets a viable candidate, to make it to the playoffs at least than Idzik has done all the times he's been here.
Yep.
That's saying something.
I agree.
That's really saying something. The fact that, like you said, Cromartie and Revis leaving, you know, was all on Idzik's in his term.
Mm-hmm.
And now once he's gone, they don't mind coming back because the new GM it doesn't mind shelling out the money. Um, the Jets did make a significant improvement, and like you said, the AFC East is going to be a real interesting race.
Yep.
I really feel bad for the Bills though. I mean, because
Oh,
I don't know. Something about Ryan does not. It doesn't. It rubs me the wrong way with the Bills. I mean, their head coach, their previous head coach, I really thought he was going to stay. I really didn't see him leaving.
Doug
Yeah.
Marone. Yeah, yeah.
It was really no reason for. I mean, I really didn't see no reason for him to leave, and I really didn't expect him to leave. I thought I just feel as though Ryan is going to do something to diminish their team. And that's just my opinion. I just feel as though he's going. It's kind of like with the Jets when they were an AFC Championship team, and then it quickly diminished from not making to the playoffs, and then having a losing season to where they were last year. And I just have that feeling that Ryan is that type of a coach that they'll be good at the start, but then they'll quickly see the diminished capacity. And I'm not even gonna go there because that's a long conversation about how I feel with Ryan, but that's neither here or there. Do you think that the whole AFC East is going to be a competition?
I think it's going to be better. I mean, I'm curious to see how Brandon Marshall is going to do, with the Jets. I mean, it all goes on who's actually going to be, the QB, whether it's going to be Geno, whether it's going to be Fitzpatrick, and then of course Buffalo, you got Shady, and then they bring in the other QB, who's going to start is going to be EJ Manuel, the other QB. So it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I do have to say that it's after a while you get tired of seeing. We all know that New England is going to win the AFC East. You get tired of saying that. It's good to have some competitiveness from different teams now. So it'll be very interesting to see if New England can hold off any of the teams out there.
I think Ryan is going to institute the ground and pound in Buffalo. Now, I want to say that Buffalo has a pretty decent offensive line, and I think he's going to turn EJ Manuel into a game manager. But
who's going to start? Is it going to be EJ Manuel? Is it going to be Matt Castle? Because they just brought him on.
True.
He was already talking about it's going to be an open QB competition.
But I think with EJ Manuel, they can institute that level of read option that Matt Castle can't run.
I'm sorry, Ace. I mean, no disrespect, but Rex Ryan has done nothing with the quarterbacks that he's been coaching. There was no improvement. So I'm just saying I'm a little skeptical. I'm a little hesitant with Rex Ryan when it deals with quarterbacks. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
But again, my whole theory is if these offensive coordinators, head coaches, whatever, if they sit there and look at the landscape of college football, and we know I'm a college football junkie to a point. I can't tell you everything, but I can give you a good, broad explanation about a lot. If you look at the trend of how these offenses are running, look at Ohio State. Ohio State got these mobile quarterbacks, but they're pretty good passing the rock. If you give a team if you give an offense with a quarterback who can give you that 1 ounce or that one element of pulling that ball back and running, look what Washington did with RG3 his rookie year. And the talk here, talking DC, is where RG3, when he got hit by Haloti Ngata and got the stuffing knocked out of him and blew out his knee, he don't want to run that offense no more because he got smacked hard. But that's something he never experienced when he was at Baylor, when he was running it with high efficiency his senior year. But that being said, that if you got a quarterback who's smart, if you got a quarterback like Russell Wilson who knows how to run the read option just to the point where you can sit there and tuck the ball in and run with it, but know how to get out of bounds, know how to slide, know how to avoid contact, it brings a different element to that offense where E.J. Manuel could do that for Buffalo with the Shady McCoy, because Shady with that, if you just throw that little ounce of that read in there, Shady will never get hit, especially because you don't know where the ball is going. And that's why I'm thinking, if Rex decides he wants to go that route, he'd be smart. If he wants to sit there and do that pro route, Shady ain't gonna last for 2 years in that offense because he can't take hits like that. He's only but so big.
And that's my point. Like that, I understand where you're coming from, and like you said, that's a big if, and I just don't see Rex, and even thinking about that. I just see Rex saying it's my way, or we'll get somebody else to do it for you. Like I would not be surprised, to be all honesty, as far as the Jets is concerned, would not be surprised if Geno Smith starts skyrocketing and plays much better than he did this past season. Would not be surprised.
Nor would I.
Well, I'm not going to sit there and say I wish that's the case. I can only be a hoping, a wait and see type of approach. But I mean, look at Kaepernick. Dude had a crazy half of 2013, 2012, looked great in 2013. What happened to him in 2014, I don't know. The team's in disarray, and we know I'm a 49er fan too, along with a Jets fan, and I can't even talk about the 49ers right now because I have no idea what the heck they're trying to do.
I was going to save that. I was going to save that for last, but I'll let you finish.
No one has any idea, Ace, so you don't feel bad.
I mean, you're going to let one of your top guards in the pros walk and go to Arizona. Granted, you pick up Arizona's D lineman, who was hurt of all last season. He got something to prove with Darnell Dockett or whatever his name is. You're looking like you're letting Michael Crabtree walk, but you bring in Torrey Smith, which is a great vertical downfield threat. But in Bolden, he's that dude that rock that could take it over the middle or whatever. He's that consummate wide receiver. But you let Gore walk, and then granted, you got Carlos Hyde, you still got LaMichael James. I still don't know how LaMichael James fits into the offense because they don't really use him like that. They used him that one playoff run when they were really instituting the read option really well against Green Bay. I mean, I don't know. Their cornerbacks are leaving. I could just say that the 49ers' opportunities, they're probably the third or fourth best team in the NFC West right about now. The Cardinals and Seahawks are clearly much better than the 49ers. I hope they prove me wrong. They can use a lot of help, really.
Yeah. But I do want to ask you this question because I meant to ask you when this first came out. The whole thing about the people retiring at an early age. I just want to get your takes on both of y'all takes on this because as you see, this is going to be a trend somewhere down the road where a lot of guys are not trying to stay in the NFL long. It seems like they just want to do what they need to do for a couple of years and leave. And you saw what happened with one of your players leaving after his rookie season, retiring. So I just want to get your take on that.
It's interesting. I don't know how much you guys watch Spike or whatever channel that is, but it's Friday Night Tykes. Have you guys ever caught a wind of that show?
Know the show, but never saw an episode.
Same here.
Okay. I've managed to watch parts of episodes here and there, depending when I see it on TV, and they're focusing on, I guess, 9 through 12-year-olds in Texas youth football, and how these jokers are hitting at that young age, and jokers getting concussions at 9 and 10 years old. You know what I mean? And I was watching one episode Sunday where the coach said that he already had like 2 or 3 head injuries and couldn't let the kid play, and he was like 11. And And I guess where I'm going with this is, will the NFL ever be a scenario or a sport where a player won't? Let me backtrack. Will football ever be a sport where there's never a concussion issue or something to that effect? I doubt it. Uh, but that being the case, unless they institute some better protocols or something where they have these doctors. I mean, you can't have doctors who are like on the NFL level who can come in and watch the players, or whatever. But maybe if the NFL partners with local uh, doctors in these areas where the youth leagues and the high school, where those doctors don't mind volunteering their time during game days or something like that, where they can sit there and kind of monitor and see how these kids are acting and such, where they could try to really crack down on how these kids are getting hit and concussion issues. And however, I don't think this is ever going to be something that's going to ever stop.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's probably going to be a few more guys like that, like the player that came out and said that he doesn't want to do it, because of the injuries. But let's face it, the NFL has always has been and always will be a collision sport.
Mm-hmm.
And it is is the NFL is the big market, sport out there that, the most popular sport in America. People want to see the big hits. They want to see people get hurt. It's unless you're willing to change everything to touch and flag football, which they're not, because then that just takes away from me the essence of the game. You're going to have that. You're probably going to have these one-offs where guys are probably going to come into the league, maybe play a year or two, but just too much. But it's not going to stop. Once you do that, then you take away from football.
Right. And if it's going to get to a point where you can't hit nobody, you might as well just stop playing football altogether. And it's too much of a moneymaker for them to stop it. So
yeah, I can't imagine them changing it up to like tag football or flag football or something like that.
Yeah, I think there's only so much. I think there's only so much you can do to kind of, I guess, protect players before you're changing the integrity of the game.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
And I think that players, once they get into college, and if they're aspiring to play in the NFL, then they have to know that they're making themselves susceptible to these CTEs and any type of other head injuries that they may be facing when they're 40 and 50 years old. But then it's easy to sit there and talk about those cases where players experience this stuff, but then let's talk about all the hundreds of thousands of players that come through and never experience any issues. What's the overall percentage of these players? And I guess that's where the NFL is going. They're saying that, well, yes, we have identified there might be 40 or 50 or 60 players that have CTE, but then that's 60 out of 5,000 players that came through the league between 1990 and 2015. What is that? That's 1%, 2% of the population in the NFL that's experiencing this sort of issue. Is it really an issue?
Yeah. No, I'm wondering if there's something that's going to happen in the next talks with the player agreements. As far as the player contracts is concerned, from a business side of things, I'm wondering if the NFL, what if they have to acknowledge that this is going to happen. So my question is, would there be something down the road where it be like a waiver or something where the players know, hey, look, you're aware that this may happen to you if you continue to play, for a certain amount of years. Maybe that's something that could be added into the next labor talks, or as far as the next labor agreement, where players and the NFL could come to an understanding, saying, hey, look, I do know that this is something that I want. I do want to play in the NFL, but I also understand that somewhere down the road this may happen to me. And I mean, I guess being more of aware of it and having the players and the NFL come to agreement, I think will be something ideal for both sides.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I
And,
think if you
you know,
start seeing more of this as being a trend than just a blip, and right now you just got one person, so in my opinion, it's just a blip. But you drinking no champagne? Sorry about that. I got off topic.
No, I was asking that same. I was gonna ask that same question myself.
yeah, but you are correct. Yes, yes, I guess it is.
Okay. But I think if it becomes more of a trend, then I think yeah, you might start seeing that put in the contracts. But I don't think you're going to see it now, and maybe not even in the next labor contracts, unless there's a lot more people getting injured to the point where you got a lot more, paralysis out there. But at this particular point, mm, just a
Yeah.
blip at this point until you get more players that comes out and doing it. Then they'll have to really might start looking at something like waivers.
I just think that the NFL, they're making hand over fist when it comes to cash, man. I mean, they could do a much better job when it comes to protecting their retired players with health care and making sure that they can get the best possible care available to them if something should happen to them. In extreme cases, that's my biggest thing. They pulling in what $2-3 billion a year. You trying to tell me that you can't put $100 million in the healthcare for your players? You don't necessarily have to give them the money, but you give them their pension, but you can make sure that there's a set amount of dollars available that if a player sits there and says they go to their doctor and they're saying XYZ is going on with them and they file this to the NFL should then turn around and say, okay, we'll make sure that all their bills are covered from here forth and make sure they get to the best of doctors. That's all I'm saying.
But
It may not be the best arrangement, but it's better than what they have.
But we already know that the problem is basically in the NFL, the owners run this league, the business side of things. It would be real interesting to see if anything like a former player would actually become the head of the NFL. But that's not going to happen because the owners pretty much run it. So from a business aspect, they're not thinking as far as catering to the actual NFL, the player. They're just more, like you said, it's more about the money. And from a business aspect, that's all they really care about. That's the type of business people are. All they care about is the business aspect of it. They don't care about the actual players itself or their families or anything was to happen. They don't think like that. They think as it from, well, how's it where we're losing money? And until there's a change in that, it's always going to be the same thing. The players are still going to, they're still going to complain about certain things. I'm not saying that, it's not. I'm not saying that it's not a bad thing for them not to complain, but what I'm saying is that there's always going to be something that players is not going to agree with in regards from a business aspect. But the owners ain't going to really care about that. They're as long as they're getting their money, they could care less. From what I'm gathering.
I agree.
All right. Well, wow. I'm looking at the time. We could talk about again. This is why we get sidetracked when we get together like this because we could talk about this for another hour and a half tops easily. But let me let you guys go. Like I said, we'll do more of this intermediate sometime next week. And we only talked about the NFL. We didn't even talk about all the other sports around. And the March Madness, the
Kentucky going down. W, baby.
Man, this will be the only time I'll actually support West Virginia. I'll be curious to see if you guys can beat them. Outside of that, I losses all around for you.
Well, let's make it a three-way. Let's make it three-player agreement because I do not want to see Kentucky win. I really don't. I'm really getting tired of Kentucky.
And
I'm tired of hearing them.
And I was so mad. I thought Cincinnati had a good formula in the first half of that first half, and then they just couldn't make shots.
So for now, I'm with you as far as West Virginia is concerned. I'm rooting for them. I may even tweet that. Um,
Cool.
I'm rooting for West Virginia to win. I need somebody to beat Kentucky. For this to be a good season. I mean, a good week. I need somebody, or a good month. I need somebody to beat Kentucky. As long as Kentucky goes down, I really don't care who wins at this point.
And Duke, a Duke loss is always a feel good for everybody around.
Yeah.
So
All right. Yeah. Kentucky and Duke, whoever. I mean, I rather if they lose, I'm a happy person. I don't care who wins.
Well, I'm here in Raleigh right now for work, and if they heard you talking blasphemy like that, talking about Duke losing, you might get run
Hey,
out the building.
hey! I'm telling you right now. I've never been a Duke fan, and my name is Earl Ross. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'd like to thank you guys again for hanging out, talking sports with me, man. I really appreciate it.
Nah, it's all good, man. One more time, you know what I'm saying? WV, West Virginia all day. And that's how we roll. We the underdogs. As my man Juwan Staten said, only 1.2 million people in the whole country thinks that we gonna come out here and prove to shock the world. But it ain't the first time, and it won't be the last. So
I
I'm
just need that.
hoping I can
I need,
stand here tomorrow and say the same thing, saying that WV comes out victorious. But if not, I guarantee they will give you the blueprint on how to take down the Wildcats. You heard it here first.
okay. All right. I'm counting you to it.
Yes, sir.
All right. Again, Ace, Earls, I really appreciate you guys talking. Um, again, for everybody else, you can catch guys talking sports. We're gonna make this officially every week, at least try to. But thanks everybody for checking us out. Again, you could go to the links. I will send out the links, tweet out the links. Um, check us out. Subscribe to us. Subscribe to the channels, and by all means, continue to give us support. Any questions, comments you want to make, please send them. Google Plus as well. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for checking us out. This is Guys Talking Sports. Mal Qualls. I'll see y'all on the next slide. Later.
Deuces.
ah.
There it is.